And we're live. So basically today we're going to be talking about prompt engineering, right? We're going to be talking about the basics, the foundation, and the frameworks behind it. So ideally by the end of this video, you should be able to write better prompts, right? And not just for ChatGPT, but ChatGPT is what we're going to be focusing on. You could talk to Claude, you could talk to Bard, you could talk to Grok and the others, right? So I'm going to go straight right into it, right? So I'm going to move over to the prompt sequence, right? So typically there is a formula behind writing better prompts, and most of the time we either don't care about it, we just put anything that comes to our mind, or we care too much about it and we mess it up, right? So ideally we're going to stay in the middle and following this basic sequence. There are others, right? But this very basic one would at least give you the framework to follow to make sure that whatever it is you're asking, you're going to get the most out of it. Okay, so we're going to give a few examples. I'm going to start with the fitness, right? So if let's say I want to lose weight or I want to get better fitness, for example, most of us just put in, I'm looking towards losing weight. Can you help me out with it, or write the likes, right? But what it's going to give you good results, or okay result, but not great result, not effective ones. So let's start with this, right? So for introduction, I always go with the broad, right? Think of this as the basic goal, the broad goal that you're looking for. So a good example is this: I'm interested in improving my physical fitness. You could end it there, right? I'm interested in improving my physical fitness, or I'll always explain the benefits or the importance of it. The reason why I always add this is so that you could give you more reason why you should do this, kind of acting as a reminder, and also some of these benefits you may not know. So I just always add it, but it's not compulsory, right? The major one is I am interested in improving my physical fitness, right? So this is our introduction. I'm going to put it here. I'm going to put it as red. I'm interested in improving my physical fitness. So we're done with the introduction. Right now, we're going to move on to the engagement. Most people just stop here. We move on to the engagement, and this engagement, think of it as you are personalizing, right? You're personalizing it so that ChatGPT understands exactly where you are at, so that it gives you specific results or specific action items so that you can get the results you want. So I'm going to put this, and this is going to go like, oh, give me a sec. So it's going to go like this: I'm particularly interested in low impact exercises. Since I have knee problems, what are some suitable exercises for someone with my condition? So this is personalized. I know I do not have knee problems, but I'm just saying, like, you know, you might not have knee problems, you might have elbow problems, right? You might have back pains, you might have come out of a surgery, right? So this would kind of personalize, help ChatGPT understand where you're at, basically. So you always make sure this engagement goes to, so if you're trying to build a social media account, you could tell ChatGPT, I only have 100 followers and I'm in the in the food industry or in the fashion niche, right? This is where you personalize. There is no right or wrong on how you should write this, but the aim is to make sure that you're personalizing as much as possible. Okay, so that is what this is called. And I'm basically going to just say, okay, what comes after this is the call to action, right? So the call to action is, this is where you get a little bit more specific in what you are looking for. Okay, so let me give you an example here. I'm going to put as based on these exercises, right? Could you create a weekly exercise plan for me? I'm aiming for 30-minute sessions 5 days a week. So you see, right now we are done with this, right? I'm going to put this as, this is the engagement, this is the introduction, and this is the call to action. So the idea of this call to action, right, is to make it more specific in terms of the action items you are to do. So based on these exercises, could you create a weekly exercise plan for me? I'm aiming for 30-minute sessions 5 days a week. So you are further elaborating exactly what it is that you need, but it's making sure you have it in a step-by-step action. Okay, let's go another example in a bit. So we're going to try another example now. And let's say we want to, learn a new language. Okay, want to learn a new language. So we're going to start again with the introduction. I'm going to put it in. So this is the introduction saying, I'm interested in learning a new language. Okay, so this is the introduction. I'm interested, let me put it there, in learning a new language. I'm interested in learning a new language. Again, this is optional, but I always put it, could you give me an overview of the most effective language learning strategies? Okay, you could end it there, or you could always add this. I always like adding this to the intro so that it could allow me to see more, to understand more of the things that it's giving me, and maybe some things I may not know. Okay, so we're done with the introduction. I'm interested in learning a new language. Now I want to go to the engagement or the personalization. So we need to allow ChatGPT to know exactly more about us so that I could tailor it better. So I'm going to put it there, right? So this is it. I have a busy schedule. Okay, let me try it here. I have a busy schedule and can only dedicate about an hour a day to language learning. I'm particularly interested in learning Spanish for an upcoming trip. What specific strategies would you recommend for me? So this is personalization, right? I have a busy schedule, right? I put this on the year. Then I can only dedicate about an hour to learn. I'm particularly interested in learning Spanish for an upcoming trip. Okay, so these are the things that are making a personalization. What specific strategies would you recommend for me? So we are done with the introduction and we're done with the engagement, right? Where you personalize. Now what's left is the call to action, right? The more specific action things that you need in order to start this. So here it is. Considering these strategies and my time constraints, could you create a 4-week language learning plan for Spanish tailored to an hour a day commitment? Okay, so considering the strategies and my time constraints, right? So you remember when we're personalizing it, we asked it what specific strategies would you recommend for me, because we don't know. So we're now saying, considering the strategies that's going to give you, create a 4-week. So these are the action, create a 4-week action learning plan. Let me put that over here as action for Spanish tailored to an hour a day commitment. So tailored to an hour a day commitment, because remember, you only have, what's it called? An hour a day to commute, right? And this is the prompt, right? We put this, we copy this, and we're going to paste it in ChatGPT, and let's see the result. But before I get there, remember, it always starts with the introduction, which is just the basic broad goal of what you're trying to accomplish. I'm trying to create a social media agency. I'm trying to run a fashion brand. I'm trying to grow my social media account. The basic ones that you have. That's the introduction. Engagement is the personalization. I only have 100 followers and I plan to reach 1,000 followers in 3 months, right? And I only want to be posting in the fashion niche. You get my point? So that's the personalization, and the call to action is exactly what you need. So please give me a content strategy or a 3-week plan or a 3-month plan that I need to, in case I want to be posting 3 times a week to make sure I hit my goals. That's the call to action, right? And it's going to just have that. The words exactly don't really matter. It's just the understanding of exactly what it is that you want them to, the ChatGPT, to know about what it is that you're trying to accomplish. So enough talk. Let me put this over here. So I copy this and I go back to ChatGPT, open a new one, and I paste this, right? So remember, I'm interested in learning a new language. Could you give me an overview? I have a busy schedule. Consider this strategy. Yeah. So we have our introduction, we have our engagement, and we have our call to action. So let's see. So basically, as you can see, absolutely learning a new language like Spanish can be both exciting and challenging, especially with a busy schedule. Let's break down effective language learning. It goes, so you remember we initially asked for, could you give me an overview of the most effective language learning strategies? So which is what is bringing out effective language learning strategies, giving you immersive learning, regular practice, use of language learning apps, speaking practice, vocabulary building, grammar studies, flashcards, and the likes, right? So these are the things that you could have added to the things that you're going to be doing, which is why I'm always asking for it, because it may or may not put it as part of the action plan, but some of it might help you with it. So moving on to this. So we have the 4-week language learning plan for Spanish. Week 1, foundation. So days 1 to 3 gives you the introduction to basic phrases. Day 4 to 7, basic grammar. Week 2, it gives you building blocks. Days 8 to 10, expand vocabulary. Days 11 to 14, practice forming simple sentences. Then week 3 gives you immersion and practice. So from day 15 to 17, and it goes all in all. And tips: adjust the plan as needed based on your progress. Use a variety of resources to keep things interesting, and reflect on your learning at the end of each week and adjust your plan accordingly. Remember, language learning is a journey, so be patient with yourself and enjoy the process. So this is a pretty decent response based on what we gave it, right? As I said, you could ask ChatGPT anything, but without being this detailed and concise, you won't be able to get the most effective results that you're looking for. Okay, so there it is. Now let's go back to this and talk a little bit about some basic principles that you have to put in mind. Right. One thing is, the easiest way, if you just want to get right into it, is just assume you're talking to a friend. Right. The best way, which is why I really enjoyed the voice feature that is available on the platforms like ChatGPT, because it just allows you to record yourself and ask exactly what it is you're looking for. So already, if you notice when you're speaking, you subconsciously are already following the formula that I've mentioned earlier. Because if you're chatting, you just say, ChatGPT, could you help me? I'm trying to find a recipe for this food, right? I have a dinner coming up and I'm trying to create, enough meal for 10 people. I want it to be healthy. I want it to be delicious. I want it to be spicy, right? So give me a detailed step-by-step plan to follow to make this happen in an hour, right? It has followed that exact formula already because we are talking, but when we type it, we try to either we're too lazy to type it or we are too focused on making it perfect, right? So the basic principles I always recommend initially for anybody starting out is act like you're speaking to a friend, right? Another is to be smart and concise, right? You see, in as much as we're following all this stuff, it was pretty concise, right? It was pretty concise and straight to the point. You want it to be concise. You don't necessarily need to add please. You don't necessarily need to add all those emotions to it, except you want it to be emotional, but you don't necessarily need it. It doesn't add to it, right? And as much as possible, try to be smart, right? Try to be as specific, try to have a measurable way about it, try to make it actionable, try to make it relatable to what it is, which is personalizing, and try to make it timely, right? Within an hour, 10 days. You get my point. So, and the last basic principle is to follow up, right? So I'm going to show you that in a bit in ChatGPT. Following up is very essential because it gives you more ability to get better high quality results. And most of the time, people don't. So let me go back to the follow-up section. Right. So now that it has given us this, right, a good follow-up, because you don't necessarily need to, ask another question, right? That may, you don't need to open a new chat. Basically, you could follow up with a proper prompt. So let me show you exactly what I mean by that. So here, I'm going to say, how can I measure my progress effectively in learning Spanish over these 4 weeks? And what are some signs that I'm improving? So this is a good follow-up question, right? And if you don't even have a follow-up question, you could ask ChatGPT, what are good follow-up questions that I should ask to make this plan more successful? And it's going to give you some follow-up questions that you did not think of, and you could then ask to make sure your plan goes well. Okay, so this is a good one because it's really, really good to always follow up, right? And you're following up, it could be you want to elaborate on something because it's variable. I don't really know exactly what your goals are, right? But it is variable. So once it gives you this, right, don't just take it like that and just always try to look at it and see, okay, could you expand on this? Could you elaborate? Could you make this simpler? Could you make this easier so that a 5-year-old could understand it, right? These are the things that will make it clearer for you. So again, it's really, really important to always try to follow up, right? Regardless of the result. So here it is. How can I measure my progress effectively learning Spanish over these 4 weeks? And what are some signs that I'm improving? And here the results is bringing out already. So it's saying measuring progress, set clear objectives, define what you want to achieve each week. For example, by the first week, your goal might be to learn basics, self-assessment. As you can see, it keeps on going, record and listen, regular testing, signs of improvement, increased comprehension, improved pronunciation, growing vocabulary, and goes on, right? So basically, some of them were already really detailed in the 4-week language plan for Spanish. So, it's pretty, you can see the difference with the outputs as opposed to some outputs that you may have seen previously, right? So there it is, right? One other thing I would like to talk about is, under this follow-up, is the idea of personalization in the back end. So this is the front end. We ask a question and we get a response, right? It's in the front end, but there are more special ways, if that's the right word I can use, to go about this, right? With custom instructions or with GPTs. Okay, so I created a video specifically talking about GPTs. You could see it somewhere at the top of this video. You can go check it out, right? And I will show you how to use the custom instructions and a little bit about the GPTs. Okay, so we move over here. It's on the bottom left and we click on the custom instructions, right? When you click on the custom instructions, this allows you to not necessarily have to think about what to put into when you want to chat with ChatGPT because you already created it before. So the idea of it is like you've set it up once. So when time you're chatting with ChatGPT, it already has an understanding of how you want your answers to be, right? once you've done that once, it's going to be easier over time because you've put in the systems in place to make sure whatever you ask it, it gives you a proper answer. Make sense? So would you like ChatGPT to know about you to provide better responses? So thought starters, where are you based? What do you do for work? What are your hobbies and interests? What subjects can you talk about for hours? And what are some goals you have? If you put this under year and under this, how would you like ChatGPT to respond? You can see how formal or casual should ChatGPT be? How long or short should responses generally be? How do you want to be addressed? And should ChatGPT have opinions on topics or even neutral? Right? So you could create personas. It doesn't necessarily have to be you. You could create a persona of the person that you want ChatGPT to integrate to your answers. And I'm going to give you an example of this. So over here, right, you see thought starters. Where are you based? What do you do for work? What are your hobbies and interests? What subjects can you talk about for hours? And what are some of your goals? So in these sections, you put in you, right? Exactly what it is about you that you need ChatGPT to understand to get to give you better answers, right? So this is more personal. I'm not going to put anything in here because they are answers that you give it. So just answer these questions, right? Now, this is where you need to actually put in some really, really good things, right? So how formal or casual should ChatGPT be? How long or short should the responses generally be? How do you want to be addressed? So this is a good example, right? Professional, informative. So I created a persona, right? You can have multiple personas that you want ChatGPT to use when answering, right? So this persona is called Alex, right? And Alex is professional, informative. Alex is an emphatic listener. He's solution-oriented. He's respectful and polite. He's encouraging educational growth. He's adaptable to users' preferences, right? It's really, really important so that your answers are based on this system that you put in place, right? Which gives you the answers that you're looking for. So after you've answered these basic questions about yourself, right, then you need to put this on the year, right? And you could actually add more, right? So yeah, basically that is it. And you click on save. So once you save, you can either use it for just the chats that you're on, or you could enable it for new chat. So once you do this once, right, it's going to be easier to get the kind of answers that you're looking for because you've already set up ChatGPT, right? So that's for custom instructions. I'm going to cancel this now. Exit. So now let's move over to the GPTs, right? Now the GPTs are similar to custom instructions, but let's just say it's a little bit more advanced because you are literally creating bots. Okay, and like I said, I have a video where I discuss this in details, but I'm going to show you a simple example, right? So let me move over to Content Catalyst, right? And you can see this is designed to enhance your social media presence by providing personalized and adaptive guidance for creating highly engaging content, right? Over here, let me go to edit this GPT so you can see how it was set up, right? And if you see GPT Builder, if you go over to configure, you would see that I already gave it instructions, right? So like I said, the methodology determination, the methodology will combine creative brainstorming, social media analytics and trend analysis and audience engagement strategies. It's going to have, it goes through a series of steps. It gives you the problem acknowledgement. It gives you the strategic approach, interactive guidance, adaptability and feedback, right? Basically, it's like the instructions that we give, the custom instructions, right? But we put it into this bot so that anytime we chat with this bot, we know that this is a specific purpose. So it's kind of like organizing the custom instructions instead of the custom instructions that, you know, could go with your chats, your normal chats. This is specific for individual use. So that's why they call them ChatGPT bots, right? And you could go in depth by creating conversation starters like this so that you could just click on it to start uploading your knowledge files. So if you have your knowledge base, you have databases that you want to add to it to have more knowledge of what it is that you are looking for. If you have resources, you could upload them here, and you could also allow these capabilities, right? And there you have it. You'll be able to create this, right? Again, if you want more in-depth about this, I created a video. Go check it out on this where I go in-depth, right? And the last but not least, because I wouldn't want to go exhaustively on this topic, is OpenAI, which is the owner of ChatGPT. They did create their own prompt engineering guide. So if you want to go more in depth on this, you want to become more of an expert, you could go through their guide. I'll put the link in the description. And it typically talks more about the things I've spoken about and a little more other nuances that you might need to know, right? It gives you strategies, examples, and the like. So if you want to go in depth, you could check it out too, right? So without further ado, I hope you found value in this, right? I'm going to create more videos in the future that would elaborate on more principles and strategies you could go about this. But for now, this is the basic understanding that you need to have better prompts so that you could get better results. I hope you found this useful. Please like, comment, share, turn on the post notification, and I will see you in the next video.